In the Depth of Love. Chapter 3. Evelyn's Place. Tiffany woke up and then her stomach rumbled. Then she went downstairs and opened the fridge. Then she brought out a plastic of ice cream, soft ice cream, and she began drinking it. Evelyn woke up after and she checked Tiffany in her room but could not find her, so she went downstairs thinking she is bathing. As she got downstairs she met her seated on the couch drinking ice cream. "Oh, my ice cream, I will kill you today," she said, and Tiffany immediately stood up and ran. Before she could get to her, she ran upstairs and locked herself up. Just then her phone rang and she picked up the call. "Hello, Dad." "Hello, darling, won't you be coming home?" "I am coming home, Dad, but I will come back here." "You are not going back there after coming home, you are the only ones there and I don't want something bad to happen to you." "Nothing will happen, Dad, please, she is the only one at home and she feels lonely." "That won't work on me, get back home now," he said and hang up. Then Tiffany dropped her phone sadly and she came out of the room with the plastic of ice cream in her hand. As Evelyn saw her she went to her and collect the bucket of ice cream, and then she noticed she is suddenly quiet and had a sad expression on her face. "What is wrong?" she asked her. "Nothing," she said, faking a smile. "Tell me what is wrong." "Dad won't allow me stay with you anymore, he is afraid of me being hurt." "Is that why you are sad?" Evelyn asked and she nodded. "Okay, give me your phone," she said. Then Tiffany gave it to her and she unlocked it and then called her dad. She said some few things to him and then she hung up. "He has agreed." "Really? With just that?" Tiffany said surprisingly. "Yeah, babe. Thanks," Tiffany said and hugged her. "Anything for you, babe. FLASBACK. As Jameson was walking on the road, a car was coming towards him. Then he looked at his front to leave, but it was too late, so the car hit him and he fell down bleeding from the head. The car quickly reversed and rushed away. People who were at the scene quickly rushed him to the hospital. As they got to the hospital he was rushed into the ward and they began treating him. The doctor came to the reception after a while and asked for his relative. Then the people told him all that happened. "I need to see his family," he said. Then the woman holding his phone went to the call log and saw the last number he called. Then she called the number. Ricardo was in his office when a call came through his phone. Then he picked it up, seeing it is his son. "Hello, son, what is it?" he asked. "This is not your son speaking." "Who is this? Give the phone to my son. Your son was hit by a car by the roadside and he is currently in the hospital." "How? You are joking, it cannot be my son. You can come to the hospital to see for yourself." "Okay, which hospital is that?" he asked and the woman told him. Then he hung up angrily. He then stormed out of his office and drove to the hospital, and as soon as he got to the hospital he went to the nurses and asked of his son. The woman who called him earlier heard his conversation with the nurse and went to him. "Sir, I am the one who called you earlier," she said. Then he faced her. Then his mother also came in, panting heavily. As she saw him she ran to him in fear. "Where is he?" he asked coldly. Then the woman took him and his wife to the doctor's office, letting him know that he is the boy's father. "You see, your son is in a very critical condition and he has internal bleeding because he hit his head hard during the accident. Can we see him?" they both asked at the same time. "Sure," the doctor said and took them to Jameson's ward. As they got into the ward and they saw his condition and they became sad. But Ricardo never showed it. After staying with him for some minutes he got out of his ward, but his wife never leave his side. "Do anything possible to save my son. I don't care what you do, just save my son," he said coldly and went out of the hospital and drove to his house. The doctor, seeing how he reacted, became afraid and he went back to his office. Alvarez mansion. He got to the mansion and drove in roughly. "You incompetent fools, how did my son get out of this house?" he asked angrily, and the guards began trembling. "Sir, your son is in there, he did not go out," one of them said. "Really? Then who is lying down at the hospital there? Well, I have nothing to say to you all, you are all fired," he said and went into the house. The guards, without wasting time, packed their things and left the mansion because they still love their lives. Present day. Ricardo woke up sadly. He feels sad for his son being in the hospital. He tried to get those who did it, but he found nothing about them. He dressed up and went to the clan. Eagle Eyes Clan. He got to the clan and met people outside discussing, and as soon as they saw him they owed and greet him, but he ignored them as usual and went into the torture room. Then he opened the door and met the man groaning in pain weakly. He is so weak that he couldn't lift a finger and he couldn't see also. Ricardo brought out a gun and shoot him angrily and he died instantly. Then he left the torture room and called 2 people to take his corpse away. Then he told a guy named Spider to hack into the camera at the scene to check who did that to his son. Spider is a member of the clan and very good in hacking. He was picked up by Ricardo and brought into the clan, and since then he had been living in the clan. He did what he was told and within some minutes he hacked into the camera and what actually happened showed up. Ricardo watched closely and he saw two men in the car trying to reverse back. He immediately recognized the men as Red Devil's clan men. He immediately sprang up angrily and he then called all his men and immediately they all got into the car and drove to Red Devil's clan. They took 4 cars along with them. They got there and then they stepped down from the car and barged in. Then they began shooting dangerously, killing their men. One of the men ran into the house and told their boss about what is happening outside. Then he was surprised on how he found out they were the one responsible for the accident. He took some of the men inside with him and they went out and then they also began shooting and rain of bullets was being heard. They were all killing each other badly. After a while they stopped and then Ricardo moved to their boss. Well, I think you are surprised how I found out you were responsible. Well, I have my ways. This is just warning for you. Next time you try such I will make sure your head roll in front of me, he said coldly and left the place. He lost some of his men but Red Devil lost more men. He got back to the clan and he got into his room and he began smoking as usual to calm his nerves. At the hospital, the doctor was doing everything possible to save Jameson's life and thank God he is responding to treatment. His bleeding has stopped and he is stable now but he has not woken up. After 2 days he regained consciousness and the doctor became happy. He quickly called Ricardo and informed him about it. In no time Ricardo has gotten to the hospital with his wife and they were taken to their son's ward. As they saw him they became happy and then his wife ran to hug him happily asking if he is okay and then he said he is okay. After a week, Jameson is fully healed and he was discharged. Then Ricardo paid the bills and they went home. They got home and Jameson was going to his room when he called him back. Didn't I tell you not to leave the house? He said coldly. Dad, I am tired of being alone in the house, only me in the house every day, I have no friends at all. Darling, he is just recovering, let him be for now, his wife said. Then he calmed himself down and let him be. Then Jameson went into his room and began crying. What kind of father do I have? Why can't I live like other children? I prefer to born into a poor family and be free than into this stupid family where I am not free, he said sadly and began breaking things in his room. Rodriguez's place. Tiffany got back home later and went in to pack some of her clothes and went back to Evelyn's place to stay with her till her parents are back. Alvarez Company. The workers at the company heard of their boss' son accident and they became sad that they couldn't work well, but when they heard he is okay again they became happy and began working well again. Alvarez Mansion. Jameson's mum heard the breaking in the house and she went into his room. What she saw shocked her. Broken things all over the floor. She immediately ran to him and calmed him down, then he calmed down and later slept off. She called one of the maids to pack the broken things and rearrange the house. Later in the evening Jameson woke up with a severe headache and he began shivering badly. To be continued. Like, comment and share please. Love you all.